You know, and the key fact is, with this, you may actually find, I went out and did, for 2 days, walked and kind of verified all of these to make sure, and some of them that I found weren't hooked into irrigation system. They were just a standpipe, to where they may not actually even want you to hook into that because they have hose bibs on the house that are already hooked to the potable water system. So rather than tearing all the way through, if you just cut it, they're not going to be impacted.
That's the way mine is.
And so, you know, but I did account for everybody. And so that's why I'm saying that I'm going to be the high bid on this, because I'm accounting for everybody.
What are we going to do with the, are we just going to stub it, the secondary system, or are we going to cut it back to the...
What I have planned right now is, because it's going to be just shut down, but as a secondary measure, this line would actually come in on the other side of this. They'll be able to turn off this valve and hook in, but then we'll cut that and actually put a cap, so that for some reason, if water does get back into this, it won't be seeping through there. It would be a cap system. So
We don't want to remove it, do we?
I wouldn't remove it. I'd just abandon it and cap it right
Yeah.
there.
Well, I'm headed down that.
You've got a question now?
Have you, how many people in Bunkerville are hooked up to the secondary system?
Right.
Are paying bills on it?
We had 188 were on a detail number 1, and then 45 that would have been with this situation. So I think that was 233. Now some of those were multiple. Some houses had like a secondary service on it. So that's what I mean. Why we may be getting up that
Our
much.
numbers are a little off because on the report we showed 212. Is that right?
Yeah.
212
So
per people that are
200
paid for.
So some of those people, all of them don't have current hookup or
Yeah,
current using
Correct.
a secondary system.
Like I already converted mine, so...
Yeah,
And that's kind
the
of,
boxes might still be there on some, but they might.
Well, these were from the actual ones that we got from the water district, just past users. So that's why, again, I wanted to make sure that this number that we gave to you was in fact accounting for any contingency that you would see. So we didn't miss anybody, so that's why I'm saying I'm going to be the high. You know, I wanted to make sure that this would be the worst case scenario that we're looking at.
Well, based on the worst case scenario, it's not going to take long for the system, for the system being shut down to pay for this, for the recovery, cost recovery to pay for this.
I don't think 5 years is like max.
So I'm just trying to say, so there's 212 people in Bunkerville that are paying for secondary system right now, paying for secondary water?
yeah, when we started the study, that's what it was at. They can fluctuate by 1 or 2 here and there.
Have you thought about offering people an option of, like, let's say a couple $100 for them to do it themselves and not have the secondary system, or is that not practical?
And then we have to worry about quality of how it's turned off and,
And we might be liable for it.
yeah,
Timeline.
I think the way
We did talk about that internally, Bob, but able to get through the process as quickly as we could to get everything converted over. That option we dropped just because we didn't really have control over, other than when we turned the pumps off at the secondary system. We didn't have control over when that happened.
I know on mine, they told me they had to be 10 feet apart, but the secondary and the potable water had to be 10 feet apart.
Right.
And there's a valve, a primary valve that's yours, that you can turn off. And then most people like have a secondary valve that you can turn off. So if you turn off your valve, and the people opt not to have the secondary water, you still have to go through this. Because I can't see an advantage
No.
of secondary water.
I think if somebody like myself, I've already converted, if I just said, hey, come in here and check the system, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, my understanding is part of the intention, at least the recommendation would be that we send out to the secondary users a kind of a letter agreement that allows anyone who doesn't want to go through this conversion process to opt out, to where we won't send out a contractor, the district won't send out a contractor to do this process and convert the system over for them. As part of that, signing that opt-out agreement, any property owner who wanted to opt out and not have this conversion done on their property would be also agreeing that it should in the future they want to connect their secondary system to the culinary system, they do it at their expense, and they'd also hold the district harmless for any damage or anything that might occur to their property when the conversion is done at a later date.
So my understanding is you're not offering people any incentive not to spend a lot of money, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a big incentive, we're gonna do it for them.
Yeah.
Well, the district is planning to cover the cost to do this conversion, which means that there is no cost to anyone who takes part in it currently.
I know that,
And
I'm
we're
just saying,
reducing the water rates.
it'd be nice to save you guys some money if you were to tell people, if you don't do this, here's $100 or something like
Oh.
that. You see what I'm talking about right now? It's gonna cost you quite a bit of money.
Well, I understand, but the district's got to make sure it's done to certain standards and specifications, which we can ensure better if we're actually involved in the process.
What I said at the very beginning, is when you turn it off, it's off.
Well, I understand, but if you can see, it's going to be connected to the culinary system this way. I mean, it's going to the red line's joining the blue line in this scenario. It's going to be connected to the culinary system. We've got to make sure there's controls and stuff in place as far as commingling the systems.
Right, what you're saying is you could turn off this secondary line, but the people that are going to connect, they're going to connect to this one that's always on.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you turn this one off, because they're going to connect to that one and come in. So this is the line you got to protect. That's why we're saying we put double check valves in this. There'll be no cross-contamination. So yeah, offering them this, because you're going to turn it off anyways, doesn't really give them...
The backflow alone's how much?
$115 for the,
So, I mean, that's
anti-siphon.
it's
Right.
a big incentive, isn't it?
So, and that way we know that it's taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, we had somebody on our system that didn't have anti-siphon on.
Last time we left it up to somebody
And
to
that was
tap
the
their own
same
pipes
person.
at Bunkerville, it
Yeah.
took a long time.
I don't know that it happened until we went and did it ourselves, right? So.
Okay, is there any other, Eric?
One other issue, I don't know if, this may be for Forsgren, but I mean, especially in this type of scenario here where the red line's kind of beyond the sidewalk and stuff, there may be some circumstances where the connection's going to take place in an area that's outside the public utility easement, so I don't know if there's been any investigation as far as where the district may need some additional easement or right-of-ways in place.
Well,
to,
that's what we kind of talked about, and I believe, I thought that was in the letter that...
yeah,
in that
I plan
letter,
to have it in
have
the
to
letter,
be-
but I don't know if we...
These would all be outside of the
Yeah.
construction.
Anything
They
beyond the
would
back
have
of
to,
the
they would have
sidewalk,
to sign permission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
back of the sidewalk is the end of the easement.
You're absolutely right. Anything that happens like this has to be addressed.
Well,
in the
I
letter.
understand it'll be in the opt-in and opt-out letter as far as if they're going to opt in, but as far as then getting the legals and stuff, we may need to actually put stuff in place to...
Yeah, that, if
Just
we...
CYA.
Yeah.
We could talk
Contact
about
the
that
district.
offline, but we may want to just talk a standard distance from the
Just
public
standard
right-of-way.
distance like the
Like-
grants, that maybe extended a certain feet
Like a
beyond...
20 or 30 feet into, from the, we could talk about that in a different setting,
Yeah.
It's just a construction easement.
Temporary.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
may, and we
it's
may have to
temporary.
modify it per, there may be a unique case that we have
It's
to.
a temporary construction easement.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess the intent will still be that they'll own it on the other side of the meter, so we won't need it permanently, it's just a matter of...
Well, there are a few instances, say
Like
like
my
at your
dad.
dad's house,
Yeah.
where that lot goes all the way back, so...
So, yeah. I don't know what he's gonna do, I don't think he's gonna.
Okay, well, there's, I think a lot of
Yeah,
great,
he cuts.
a lot of great discussion. Is there any more discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion on item 7.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we direct staff to continue on with the bid process for the changeover of the secondary to the potable.
How's that?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise the right hand. Aye, the motion carries.